Hey, this is Flash on the Dork Table, and we're at RLM. And usually we have some nice girl introduce the show and say hi to everybody, but I'm going to do it tonight. And I got an election day guest for everybody that you might want to have some questions and shit for, but we'll find out later. And here we go. Hey, Asmo, Barman, Beth Z, Grim Nerd, I like that one. Kate, Trust No One, Atomic Punk, Chalcedony, Chloe, me, Graham Z at work, I'd be Don C twice, Java Doctor 2, Meisterbrow, P Bunyan, Rob Works, Sock Puppet, Vinny, Clank, Colfax 101, etc. Frumpy, Grendel, J Dread, Jehovah One, Wanataco, Kozu, and Larry Woods tonight's going to be the guest. And then we got a bot, M-bot, and a Pond Sauce, and Tip Bob. Okay, that's everybody that's out there that's shown up on my RLM. Anyway, to make a long story short, when me and Vince did the show, This Is No Time for Rational Thinking, I met Larry Woods. And Larry has an invention he's in the process of making a reality here, or trying to. You know, big business and stuff is difficult these days. But it's a brilliant idea, and it's not only the electricity, he has ideas about other things that are related. So let me get Larry on the show here, and he can tell us one of his stories.
Hello.
You there yet? There you are.
Yes, sir.
Hey, Uncle Larry, take us on a wander.
Okay. Let's talk about the efficiency of generators. No, wrong word. Let's talk about the efficiency of transformers, electrical transformers. Today's transformers are 60% efficient on the common market. You can buy them more efficient, but they're a whole lot more money. That means that you're wasting 40% of your power just in efficiency. So we didn't like that. Most of that goes away as heat. Most of it goes away as extra amperage draw to make your equipment work. And because of that, it makes your equipment break down sooner. So we were a little interested in changing that. We've learned how to manipulate the magnetic field, and that's really an interesting thing. The polarity, as you know, of a magnet, of the particles or imaginary things that come out of a magnet, that configuration is changed in the center of the magnet, the meeting point of north and south in the vortex. That's where all the power happens. Some people call it 0-point energy. Some people call it energy from the ether. It's not that. It's magnetic energy. And the magnetic energy that's created, we've managed to capture. And what that does is it allows copper to have some of the characteristics of a superconductor at room temperature. A normal electrical circuit, when you put 1 volt through 1 ohm of conductor, that's the wire, you get 1 amp. When we put 1 volt through 0.46 ohms of conductor, we get 10.9 amps. So what that means is that now you can effectively use 10 wire sizes smaller to get the same amperage output. We have totally eliminated the iron core, which is one of the most expensive parts of any coil. That we put $2 worth of wire on a $100 toroidal iron core, laminated iron core. And it doesn't do as good as our coil, which doesn't have any iron associated with it at all. We have an air core. So, and not only that, The standard toroidal coils heat up when energized. We have zero temperature rise at 3 times the rated amperage of the wire. So that's something else that's a little bit unique. We've got a few different styles and a few different patterns. They all do something different, but they all have basically the same electrical and magnetic characteristics. Some of them have a better magnetic field, some of them have less. But the importance of that is that another electrical fact, when you add a load to any circuit, to any electrical circuit, then you get a voltage drop. Our voltage drop is negligible, very, very, very minor. What we do get, however, is a proportional amperage increase. That amperage increase is proportionate to the load. That increases the magnetic field, and the increased magnetic field magnetically reduces the resistance of the wire. They're using this in supercomputers now, but it's all super cooled with superconductors and very expensive stuff. We've managed to do it at room temperature, and it's simple manipulation of the magnetic field. Another thing, when electrons are exchanged, when electricity flows, that electron exchange is called skin effect. It's called that because it only happens on the surface of the wire. We've got one style that, because of the pattern and because of the geometry, it doesn't have skin effect. You cannot move a compass needle from outside this coil when it's energized. If you'll take a compass and put it close to any of your electronic or electrical equipment, the compass needle will be drawn to it. It doesn't happen like that with our coils. The only place that a compass is affected is over the exact vortex. What we have is core effect. All of the electrons in this particular coil are exchanged inside the core of the wire, allowing us to completely control every single bit of the magnetic field. This particular style increased the toroidal magnetic field from 4,000 milligauss to 35,000 milligauss. So this was a coil that we designed to help with the hydrogen production. What it does is, through the magnetic field, the hydrogen molecule is attached to the oxygen. The two hydrogens are attached at about 102 degrees. What polarizing it does, putting it through our high magnetic field, is it makes this molecule linear. That means that the hydrogens are at 180 degrees, and their particular molecular bond is no longer strong, and it separates the hydrogen much more efficiently and with less amperage and less voltage.
Well, you know, we have a lot of people that are still using Facebook too, as well. You might take a moment and pitch your Facebook page. So you know, if they're interested, they could get some more information and actually look at shit.
Okay, it's Limitless Energy Technologies.
There you go. And we've got Mary. There's a few people on the page right now they're at work, but you know, they get a little bit of a minute and they sit down and catch up on the chat, and they'll post it for you.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I'm just saying, you know, take a moment and let them know, because this information that you have, at the very least, knowing this puts you a step ahead of not knowing it.
Oh yeah, and this is just the first step. That's just what the coils do. Mm-hmm. Let's move on to our invention after we get a machine to wind the coils. That's our main drawback right now. We don't have a machine to build these things.
Right.
But once we get the coils, we have a design for, how do I say it? It's an inverted inside-out V-gate arrangement. It's a stationary set of magnets that have a cylinder multi-pole magnet that goes into them, into the stationary. What that does is it floats that center cylinder magnet and makes it rotate because of the V-gate arrangement on the stationary portion. That floats it so that there's only air for as friction. There's no lubrication, no moving parts that touch, only one moving part in the entire generator, and it generates power through magnetic induction, because when you move a magnet past any conductor, it generates a charge. And we're using a 4-pole magnet for the cylinder in the middle right now, which will give you 4 induced charges per rotation. So there you have it. You have power without using anything but magnetic power. No electrical input whatsoever for a high electrical output using our coils. So a 5 kilowatt unit will be in approximately a 1 yard square, 3 foot square cube.
Well, I got a question for you, because this is the 3rd attempt we've made at doing this, and at Saturday the quality was a little weak, so I was kind of concerned about it, wanted to give it one more shot, right? But a question came to my mind the other day. I wanted to ask you on the show. I was listening to one of my comedians getting interviewed by a guy down in New Zealand, and I'm terrible with names. I never remember who anybody is. But the guy that did the interview was his advertiser was called Blue Shield. I mentioned it to you before the show. And I didn't know how to do a segue into that, so I figured I'd leave that to you, knowing that's where I wanted to go with the conversation.
Okay. I looked that up. I'm not familiar with that at all.
Okay, but what's your stand on it now? You've got knowledge beyond, links on the internet.
Well, if it works, it would have to be some sort of a frequency generating device that would cancel out the EMF that's being produced by your equipment. No matter what frequency that your equipment is producing, no matter what harmful frequency that there is, if you can identify that frequency, there is another frequency that will cancel that out. That's what I think this device is. This is a frequency generator that is simply canceling all of the bad EMF that's coming out.
So if that's what it is, it should work, by theory.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. By theory, it should work.
Okay.
That's what I did for a living, is canceled out harmful harmonics.
Wow. Okay. Here we go.
This is powered by a lithium battery. It covers up to 6 meters in diameter. It's microprocessor controlled. And here it is, the secret to the whole thing. It carries a multiple waveform. So this is a frequency generator.
Okay. Is it worth the price that they're asking for it?
It takes an extensive circuit board, a real complicated circuit board, to make that work with the multiple frequencies that they have to produce. So, yeah, with the engineering behind it, $300 is not bad.
Okay. Well, because that was about, give or take, what I thought the exchange would have come to, about $350.
Yeah.
In America.
Yeah, it looks like $359, something like that.
Well, I don't know. We're on different money transfers now.
Oh, yeah.
One corporation thinks their money's better than the other one, so they get less when they trade.
Really?
It's like magic. it's better than magic. But let's not get on to finance. We'll just stick to the electrical tonight.
Really.
Right. But see, as a layman, and I'm thinking, there's a lot of charlatans in the world that are, waiting in line to take advantage of the next fad that comes along, so they can buy a boat or maybe, go to Spain for a couple of months. And that's what I thought of when I saw that ad, and I'm thinking maybe that's what it was created to make you think, is it's not real.
Well, okay.
Or maybe minimize the damage that Wi-Fi does to us over long periods of time.
That's a bad thing. Wi-Fi will make the 50% of the girls sterile by the time they get out of high school, and quite a large percentage of the boys. Not quite 50, but a large percentage. So it's controlling the population. We used to have a big world war every few years to thin out the herd, but not anymore. Now there's constant war, and they're trying to thin us out even more.
You noticed that too?
Yeah.
I thought it was just. I thought it was just me.
They're spraying all this chemtrail stuff in the air that's got the radioactive stuff in it and the poison stuff in it, but it's also got aluminum in it. And we're breathing that aluminum in. That makes us better conductors. That way, every single cell phone tower has a military antenna on it. All they've got to do is project a frequency that'll make us sick, that'll make us go to sleep, that'll make us want to riot. You can project a frequency through those towers that will do anything to the public. And breathing in all of this aluminum is making us more conductive, more susceptible to those bad frequencies.
Well, then why does the mainstream downplay? Why does the YouTube make you sound like a wackadoodle if you claim there's chemtrails in the air? Everything that you just said, if you talk about it, most people will kind of look at you like you're crazy.
I am.
Oh, okay. Well, I know that, and you know that, but they just think it.
Yeah, mainstream media is controlled by the people that own these things and the people that control these things, so they're not going to tell you about it.
Right. So here we are. We're back to that again. We always get stuck in that loop in the end.
Mm-hmm.
So you're preaching to the crowd, but there's a few folk here that I just want them to know that you have some information that might be very, very helpful to them someday. I just don't know what day.
Yeah, and folks, go to your Google and Google in plants that eliminate heavy metals from your body.
Yeah.
Cilantro, sweet potatoes. There's bunches and bunches of them that will eliminate these heavy metals from your bodies. You need to start eating these things to try to maintain some of your sanity.
Well, how much sanity?
Yeah, really.
I've about sanitied out 2 years of the election and whatnot. I mean, come on.
Yeah. Today is the day that we're going to find out which evil controls the world.
We're going to go to the election after all?
No, we don't want to do that. Let's go back to equipment.
Whoops, somebody's ringing.
No, that's me. We're not going to listen to them, though. It's probably a political thing asking me to vote.
Oh, okay. Well, take us on another little journey somewhere.
Okay, your brain frequencies operate from 0.1, okay, to 30. And if you know about vortex math, that is, to put it in its simplest terms, it's numerology. Takes it down any number, you add them all together, and once you get to 9, when you hit 10, that's 1 again, and you keep adding them together, and that will give you a base number of 1 through 9.
And what's the point of doing that, though? What's the goal?
Okay, we found out that in nature, anything, nature frequency is 432. Okay.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, 4 plus 3 is 7, plus 2 is 9. So 432 is a 9. Any number that you can reduce down in the brain frequency ranges to 3, 6, or 9, those are the most important brainwave frequencies that there are. Now, why I'm telling you this is because 432 is what we operate at, is the base frequency for everything in nature. There are variances in it for different organs, and everybody's got a specific frequency within a range, but it's like a fingerprint. And once they start messing with our internal frequencies, excuse me, then we get liver disease, we get lung disease, we get heart disease, we get kidney disease. All of these things are due not only to the kind of fuel that we're trying to put into our bodies, but the frequencies that we're being subjected to. And once you get out of sync with nature, then your frequency changes and you get ill.
But Larry, I have blood relatives that would argue to their death all day and all night. No, that's not true. I got sick because something else.
You would get sick because of something else, because your immune system was out of frequency.
Right.
If your immune system is tuned properly, you won't get sick. I haven't had the cold or the flu for over 40 years.
Yeah. No, I believe what you're saying. I just know the arguments back from other people because I know I've been around them a long time. I know what they say.
Yeah, well,
and it's very difficult for me to understand how anybody could say something to them to break they're stuck on authority. You know, you have to have a certain amount of education to talk that way. Blah 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 blah. You know, and it goes from that. You know where I'm going with this, right?
Yeah, I sure do. Let me explain. Can I say foul language on this?
You can swear like a sailor at the Dork Table if it makes you giggle.
Okay, I got one little thing to say about degrees in college. Now, I've got a set of letters behind my name, and to me, it's not important. You get first your BS, then your MS, then your MS, and then your PhD. The first one stands for bullshit, more shit, and piled higher and deeper. So don't put a lot of store in what you learned in school, because that's only a very small part of the equation.
Right.
Electricity is not volts, amps, and ohms only. It also has frequency and magnetism. And if you don't take those two extra components into consideration, you can't describe what our coil does. We had to completely redesign the math, adding frequency and magnetism to the formula in order to get it to predict what our outcome will be. And my partner is a math genius. He did that and can predict to 2 decimal points exactly what's going to happen to the coil. So our math is sound.
Yeah. I'm just still weary of those poor people that are they're so sure what they know now is true, and I don't believe what they've been taught. I believe what you're talking about, and I've never been taught it. It's very interesting to me.
What I knew was an absolute fact yesterday changes today. Right.
Yeah, because, they say, well, things change. The big things don't change, but the little things change every boom.
Well, okay, just let's use me as an example. Say 10 years ago, I said something that was a profound fact that everybody found to be true.
Is there an example you can give me so we got concrete here?
Uh, Not really. Just think that I said something that proved a theory that was absolutely correct, and everybody verified that it was correct and reproduce it. Okay. Then from that point on, everything that I say, people will take as gospel truth. Stop it. Question everything. If you can't reproduce it, it's not that you're not in the right state of mind or that your karma's not good. It's because it doesn't work.
Yeah, well, they spend a lot of money convincing us that, we get sick from, touching toilet seats and, picking up the potato chip you dropped on the floor. And the truth of it is what you're saying is that we're wired badly for what they're transmitting, and they know this. So they're feeding us stories our whole life that they know is not true.
I was an outside kid. I played in the creek. I drank creek water. I ate crawdads out of the creek. I was barefoot most of the time. I fell out of trees. Got caught in quicksand. Ate dirt. We camped a lot, and if it didn't have ashes from the fire and the food, it wasn't done yet. Didn't kill me.
Right.
I didn't get all kinds of bad sicknesses from it.
Well, is it because you didn't grow up around all this electrical output?
Yeah.
Is that what you were getting to, or did I beat you to the punchline?
No, you got it. You got it. I wasn't subjected to all of this. When I was real young, about 13 or 14, I got a chemistry set. Mm-hmm. And in those days, they gave you chemicals, lots of chemicals. I made sulfur dioxide and boiled crawdads. I made tortured crawdads. I made nitroglycerin out of this kit and blew up my dad's backyard, or his back driveway. I made just lots of things that they wouldn't even sell me chemicals to make these days.
Today, right.
Yeah.
So they regulated us into this.
Yeah.
Not only do you not know, but if you do know, you can't get the material necessary to do what you're trying to accomplish.
Exactly.
Wow, we're in a trap. Okay, I'm sorry, Larry.
I went to find some chemicals for a hydrogen system. And I went to the store and I says, I want some potassium hydroxide. And it was like, all of a sudden everybody went silent. We can't sell that to you. You can make a bomb out of that. Well, that's drain cleaner.
Yeah.
And just because you can make a bomb out of something doesn't mean that you should. There's so many things. Sodium hydroxide, you can make a bomb out of it. That's drain cleaner.
You know what cyanide comes from, right?
Yeah, B17.
No. I mean, isn't it a plant that you can extract cyanide from?
Yeah, cyanide comes from the white fuzzy part around the thorns of a specific kind of cactus.
Okay, and I'll bet you there is not one state law against owning a plant that will grow cyanide that is lethal, right?
Not a bit.
Okay, but you can't grow a hemp plant. And if you can, the only reason you can is because these greedy shits want to get their fair share of your profit.
Yep. Or your tax money.
But they've got the world convinced that we're in this technology age, but we're still burning coal because, we'll get there.
The Romans used steam power 2,000 years ago.
Yeah,
Isn't it time to move on?
You sound like me, Larry. I call a monkey, but I say these monkeys are still burning oil.
Yeah. And all we've done in the atomic age is make a hotter fire. Who cares?
Using
it's still steam.
No. Is it the process or is it the materials?
Both. It's the mindset.
Can you do as much damage with what's available as what you'd have to go look for?
No.
Well, you said there was drain cleaner in there. Could you make a bomb out of drain cleaner that you bought at a store legally?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Okay.
potassium hydroxide just makes a real good bomb.
Are there other uses for that potassium
Hydroxide?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a drain cleaner. What it does is it heats up in your drain. When you put water with it, it heats up enough to melt out the grease.
Wow. Okay, so wow. And then so they trap you into buying this inferior crap for more money. Yeah. Got it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, it seems like every time I turn around and talk to anybody that knows something I don't know, it always leads me to, there was a better way, but they buried it and they gave you this shit to work with instead.
Exactly. If you'll go back and look at the Peltier carburetor, that's old folks during the Depression used that on their tractors. It's a quart jar that you put next to the block on your vehicle. You fill it halfway with gasoline or whatever fuel you use. You put your carburetor intake goes to that quart jar, and it burns the vapor. It burns the vapor off the gas, and that's much more efficient, much more economical. You get probably 50% more fuel consumption, or less fuel consumption.
From your own car?
Yeah. They used to put it on tractor. Grandpa had it on his tractor.
Okay. Well, I haven't driven in years, and I gave it up. I don't think I'll ever drive it again, if I can help it.
Sounds like a good idea with all the crazy folks on the road these days.
You know, now if there's 8 cars in a row out here, it's a traffic jam.
Cool.
Yeah, and they got these little like roundabout kind of posts on the side of the road, and you have to go around it, so it narrows 2 lanes to 1 lane, and you have to go around the post to get. They're pretty cool about it all. And a lot of these people, they got the small, tiny little car. They make up for that by pulling the trailer. So instead of pickup trucks here, they've got the little car, and then when they need to haul shit, their little trailer that they move around by themselves. It's fascinating.
Sounds like a good way to do it.
Yeah, and then the bicycles, and there's a lot of people, even older than I am, that ride a bicycle around here.
We use those for target practice around here.
What state are you in now?
Missouri.
Yeah. You know, I grew up, when I was a kid, I was born in L.A., and I grew up hearing all these redneck stories, and, I became a teenager. I let my hair grow, and when I became an older teenager, I decided to go find out if these people were talking shit or if it was true. And I hitchhiked across the United States. And when I got to Texas and Missouri and, all these states that had bad reputations, Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, Texas, it was nothing. It was the same as anything I'd ever seen before.
Absolutely. Everybody's the same. It's the governments that are saying we're terrible. And
the newspapers and the movies and the TV shows, they've made such a ridiculousness out of life. Life is really mundane and boring. You know, my wife the other day, she looks over at me, yesterday she says, "Oh, we're just an old boring couple now, aren't we, honey?" You know, it's like, yeah, because some people grow up and some people don't. And the ones that don't need to go out and play until they're done. So me and Cirque seem to have met at a time in life where we're done messing around, we had fun, and now it's time to rest and have a good, easy time. And the place we're at, it's not so grid friendly here. The socialist government is a little bit unfriendly about being off the grid. So a lot of what I know, it doesn't do me personally any good.
We were talking earlier today about off-the-grid things, and there are a lot of states in the United States that will condemn your house if you go off the grid.
Wow.
Even here in Independence, if you don't have city water, they will condemn your house. So
I read that people in Flint were getting bills for their water that they wouldn't pay, but the state said, you have to pay it, we'll put you in jail. Debtor's prison's back.
Yeah, and Nestle's is pumping millions of gallons out of the Great Lake and putting it straight into bottles, selling it as good, clean water.
Well, I got a comparison.
For free.
I have a comparison I'd like to throw your way. You have the people that say, oh, the things that are coming, and oh, what's going to happen. And then you have people like me that say, I've been watching it happen my whole life. It's been unfolding. Just every step you take, you see a better bit of the picture. And oh, now this election is going to change things, and it's not. It's just another step in the unfolding the plan that's already there.
Absolutely, absolutely. No matter what the outcome is, there's going to be riots. There's going to be all kinds of bad things happening, and there's nothing we can do about it but hunker down and hold on.
And it's basically, bottom truth of this is the government and capitalism working hand in hand.
Yeah.
Because I told you about my ridiculous 3-phase plan to fix the planet, and I'm going to stand by this. If we weren't, like you're saying about the energy, the electricity, and your coil that you've designed, built, all these things have been buried from us and hidden from us so we can get here. And now that we are here, we're so busy fighting amongst ourselves about which brand of slavery is better, we can't get anywhere.
Exactly. Vortex math is the only modern thing that we've used in the production of our coils for information.
How old is it?
Probably 30, 40 years old.
Okay.
But we've learned Solomon math, pyramid math, Fibonacci sequence, the golden spiral. All of that has brought us to what we've done. Nature has brought us to what we've done. Mm-hmm. The Hindu yantras, the things they look at to meditate, some of those are coil designs. I saw a Persian rug from 300 AD that had a complete RLC. That's induction, capacitance, resistance circuit. Induction, resistance, capacitance circuit. But it was in perfect order. It was perfectly wired, and it was around the border of this Persian rug from 300 AD. They knew about this back then.
Yeah. Well, it just amazes me that they've got these pyramids, and they refuse to explain how they were put there. Oh, we don't know the mysteries of life. My ass, mysteries of life. They had a team of science people go in there and go, how did they do it? This is how they did it. Oh, okay. End of story. Lie to those guys.
Yeah, go to your cave drawings and look at their stick people. Those aren't stick people. Those aren't stick people. Those are plasma generators. If you'll look at them real close, the arms are such that if you rotate that at the waist, that will generate power. We looked at ancient Polish runes from the very first Polish writing, and out of 20 runes, 6 of them were plasma generators. One of them even had a capacitor with a proper symbol that we use today in the middle of it.
So the design was the wrap you're looking for to make your product do what you want it to do.
Yeah, these old designs are telling us that the old folks had power.
Well, it's just such a hurdle to get over that we're doing it wrong.
Yeah, we are doing it wrong.
Everything.
The way the geometry of modern coils is, they are power-wasting devices. J.P. Morgan says, if I can't charge for it every month, I'm not going to do it. We say, if we've got to charge for it every month, we're not going to do it.
Well, that's not going to be a very popular stand for quite some time. They've got people convinced that capitalism and competition and being the best and all that horse shit, that's where it's at. Not make something that's good for us all so that we can live a better life. That's off the table.
The only reason to buy more than one of our generators, our 5 kilowatt generators, is if you want a larger power supply or if you want to give it away. We don't expect to hear from any of our customers for the first 5 years at minimum. And that will be simply to replace the modulation board, the circuit board on the generator.
Well, how long of a time period do you think it would take America to get, I don't know, mature enough to handle a product like that?
The way our country is these days, another 1,000 years.
Wow! So you're going to be selling these in what, Uganda?
Yeah, we're gonna sell these in third world countries. The people that want power can have power. We're not there to change anybody's religion or their culture or anything. If they want power, they can have it.
And again, I'm with you. I'm not against you. I just know what the opposition. That's the first thing I think of is the negative side of this topic. You know, and it's not because I'm against what you're doing. It's just I'm looking for a way to overcome the hurdles that come at me. And it's almost like if you're not interested in the first place, that you're just talking to yourself.
Yeah. In this country, if we were to try to patent it and put in the patent what all it will do, it would be instantly classified by the DOD, and we would be killed, and our information would be captured.
Yeah, I don't doubt that.
The Bedini brothers were killed day before yesterday.
Okay, who? Give me a background on this. I'm not.
John Bedini and his brother created a free energy device that was a magnetic system that turned the shaft on a normal motor. Okay, and when you turn the shaft on a motor, if it's not hooked up to electricity, where you hook it up to electricity, you can draw power off of. So he was using magnetics to turn the shaft of a motor, and because it worked and created power without power input, then he was killed, and his brother was killed at the same time.
Wow. Well, be careful out there. What a topic, huh?
Yeah.
The thing that we need is it's just so sad. It's right there in front of us, but the government will stop you. And it's not a cliche, and it's not a theory or a nut job talk. And this is the reality of what we live with every day now.
Yeah, people with new cures for cancer end up dying.
Well, I seen a video on the old YouTube that I watch, right? And it was called The Cancer Hoax. And somebody either posted it or I opened it, something like that. And it was about a 2-hour show. And I watched it from the beginning to the end, and it explained that there was a doctor in Texas, the FDA fought him for 20-odd years about his cure for cancer. And then at the end, the FDA finally stopped fighting him, but by that point, they dumbed down the population enough to be used to what they were doing that the guy didn't have a voice anymore. Mm-hmm. So they'll outweight you. They'll just. It's amazing what this government is capable of doing.
Yeah.
And it's not only America. I mean, I was in the UK. I would say the same thing about that there. And then here in Denmark, not much different.
Well, it's all about frequency and fuel. Once our bodies are too acidic to start with, that makes cancer want to grow. If you'll just sit there and scratch the same spot on your hand all day for a month or two, you will develop cancer in that spot. Cancer is an irritation, and it's an irritation that's caused by something in our body being out of balance.
Ah, right. And then they take advantage of that talk to lead you to the crap that feeds their purpose, and it's not a cure. And they'll tell you 5% of the people survive. I mean, wow, it's radiation, of course. You get a 5% mortality rate.
Well, you got a 54% mortality rate just because of the radiation, without worrying about the cancer. The radiation kills 54% of the people that take it.
but they con these people into believing it's only going to affect the bad tissue. Well, how does this machine identify? What are you talking about? Good tissue, bad tissue? I don't think they're that advanced, to be honest with you.
And just take vitamin B17, for example. That's got cyanide in it. It's also got a molecule that draws it directly to the cancer cell. That when it gets to the cancer.
But when you say molecule, you're referring to a weight, right?
A molecule.
I'm not sure how much a molecule is, and I was listening to you, but I didn't know what you were saying.
Okay, that's not specifically a weight because each different molecule weighs different. What that is a size of particle. Okay, but it's measured somehow by size, like dimension or width or length or. Yeah, it's just a tiny, tiny particle of that particular element.
Okay. So all right. Okay. So a reference point. So okay, I'm with you.
B17 breaks down into 4 parts, we'll call them, rather than molecules.
Okay.
One part takes it directly to the cancer cell. The next part is the cyanide, and that, as soon as it hits the cancer cell, the cyanide goes to work eating that up. But it's also got 2 molecules of sugar in it. And those 2 molecules go to the surrounding healthy cells and feeds them so that they can reproduce and replace the bad cell that the cyanide is eating. So B17, a world without cancer, on InfoWars will get you exactly how it works, where to get it, what the treatment is. It explains the whole thing. And that's a world without cancer.
Mm-hmm. Well, you're getting questioned about John Bedini on the RLM.
Bedini is dead. Him and his brother, they were killed either yesterday or the day before. I just got word of it yesterday. They were both killed at the same time. I don't know what kind of supposed accident that it was. They probably both committed suicide by shooting themselves in the back of the head 3 times.
Or each other. Yeah. Because the RLM, they like their links, their reference material.
Let me see.
So was this a personal thing you got told, or was this something how did you find out?
No, it was a personal thing that I was told.
Okay. That makes a little difference because you're in that particular field.
Yeah, it was from another source. It's an inventor. That's a pretty reliable source.
Yeah. Well, I would hope that there's a handful of you guys that stick together and share your work with each other. What you understand of the other guy's shit, anyway.
Absolutely. We're working with quite a few different inventors right now. Everybody that's using power for their inventions, we can increase the amperage output of their power supply.
Okay, now what is your goal? Are you looking for income off this, or are you just being a helpful neighbor to people if they want the knowledge? How does that work?
I'll answer anybody's questions that aren't specific about how to do our coil at this point.
Right. Right down, anything up to what's the design of the wrap.
Anything up to that.
Anything that works, working parts and whatnot isn't the secret. It's the wrap of the coil is your baby.
Yeah,
right?
It's the geometric design and the proportions of the toroid. The donut is a toroid. The toroidal shape has got to be a specific proportion in order to let the magnetic field expand to its full capabilities. That's one of the main things that people are doing incorrectly. They're making their pattern too tight.
Yeah, you were mentioning that. I kind of thought it would be the opposite. Is there a physical explanation for why that's logic backwards?
Absolutely. Think of a barber pole, or a candy cane, and make a circle out of that. Okay, our coil looks similar to that.
Mhm.
We have two circuits running side by side. All of the two circuits are touching. Okay, that's 1, 2, and 3 is an empty spot. 3 is the magnetic field. 4 and 5 are two circuits put together next to one another. All of the wire is flat. If you cross the wire, that creates an eddy current, a spot that heats up. If you twist the wire, that collapses all of the interaction between all of those magnetic fields of the individual wires and turns it into one wire with one magnetic field. That reduces your magnetic field.
But that's your goal, right? To do just that.
Well, no, you don't want to. You don't want to
make one field. I thought. Okay.
No, you don't want to make.
Well, then.
You don't want to turn all of your wire wraps into one field, into one wire wrap. That's the beauty of this. When you have 9 windings or 12 windings or however many per circuit that are all laying next to one another, hold your hand out flat and see how your fingers match up next to one another. That's the way your wire should look.
Right. Okay, well, I told you, I'm not good at this electrical. I get confused easy.
That's right. The electrical people in here should understand what I'm saying.
Well, they're saying goodbye to John. They didn't. I guess they didn't.
Yeah, John Bedini.
And as soon as it got challenged, Grimner went and found a link about it, and then the guys were they were going, whoa, this is real. So
it's a shame. He was brilliant. He and his brother both were brilliant. Their inventions were beautiful. They all worked. There's a lot of charlatans out there. The Bedini brothers were real. Everything that they ever did worked. These guys are geniuses.
Yeah.
And we've lost a great asset. Our gene pool is going to suffer from them not being in it.
See?
Yeah, you can't have anything that's real, or they'll get you.
While they have us distracted with elections for POTUS and, people being wiped out in Paris and Brussels is on fire and all this other horse shit, they're taking out the people that have a hand in helping. Doctors. Man, if you stand up against their damn inoculations, they take you out.
Oh, that's one of the worst things that you can do.
By
the time a kid is 2 years old, they've got 25,000 times more mercury in their body than you're allowed to put in drinking water.
That's why they want to have sex with toilets.
Yeah.
Because they're all fucked up in the head.
Yep.
And it's all on purpose.
Yes, it is.
Done by a system that steals and lies and fucks everything it touches, and yet people will refuse to not support it. They will stand behind it every fucking time. The majority, not the folk here at RLM, so to speak, but the mainstream of the population, the debt slaves, people that are dependent on that check coming in or their lifestyle is going to drop, so they don't care about you at all.
And it's all a matter of every bit of electronic equipment that they've got us so hooked into using in our everyday life all the time is harmful. We're putting out a business card shape and size that will go behind the battery in your cell phone that will block all of that EMF from your cell phone. Just a little business card type thing, and that's open source. You can find ways to make them all over the internet.
So, let us ponder for a second. Where on the map haven't we been tonight? I just wanted to cover as much as of the main of it, and not so much of the detail, but you got a crowd that likes the details, so I'm kind of stuck here.
Well, let's go into how to reduce your power bill for just a little bit.
Hey, you do what you want, and I'll interrupt you later. I give you a few minutes, and I'll interrupt you with something crazy.
Okay.
But go ahead.
The power company charges you once a month. We don't want to do that. Now I sound like Trump. The power company charges you once a month. But the way they figure out how much power that they need to have available for you is that they look at 15 minutes in that 30-day period and say, well, he used 20 kilowatts right there. So that's how much power they have to have available to you. That establishes your base monthly charge, okay, because they got to have that much ready. Anytime you go over that, then you have to pay a premium for that extra power because they weren't expecting it. So the secret to keeping your power bill low is to leave everything off until you need it, and then plug it in and then use it. There's no point in leaving all the lights in your house on. That only counts on fluorescent lights because it takes such a high charge to energize the fluorescent tube. So they got to charge up the capacitors first. So if you leave a fluorescent light on all the time, then it's not having to recharge that capacitor bank every time it restarts. So fluorescence is the only thing that you can save on by leaving it turned on. And then if you only turn it on and off once a day, that should be enough. So just pay attention to what you're doing, turn things off. Don't start everything up at the same time. When you get up in the morning, just turn one light on and move to the next room and turn one light on while you turn the other one off. You can walk through your house without the lights on.
I can walk through my house in the dark.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. Because you know how many Jews it takes to change a light bulb, right?
No.
None. Jews ain't afraid of the dark. Anyway.
Yeah, and for you electricians out there, try putting a capacitor bank where your ground wire goes on your incoming water pipe. That'll take all the imbalanced load that you're dumping to ground and put it in your capacitor bank so you can reuse it. But don't do that unless you are a qualified electrician and the meter is out. Take the meter out every time you disconnect your ground wire. You'll have the whole load of the house on you. If you're an electrician, you already know that.
Yeah, I was going to ask that. I would assume a guy that's getting paid to do it would be one of the first things they teach him. Don't touch this. Not like that. Do it like this.
Yeah, you've got to stop all of the power going into your house before you disconnect the ground wire because that carries the entire load through the ground system. You don't want to do that. You don't want to get that going through you. That'll kill you. The load will hurt you more than the line side.
Yeah, and then the part about the balancing the load.
Yeah, okay. There are what we call two legs of power in your main distribution box over here in the United States. And that gives you 120 on each leg so that you can get 240 out of it. I don't know what the European system looks like. Between those two legs, that's 240. One leg is 110. The breakers on each side of your panel are associated with the two different legs. If you got 20 amps being drawn on one leg and 10 amps being drawn on the other leg, that gives you a 10 amp imbalance. That imbalance is dumped right onto the ground wire and goes right outside. It goes back to the power company. So you're actually paying for stuff that you're not using just because you've got an imbalance. You can get an electrician with an amp meter to come and test your house at various points on the panel to find out what the amperage draw is. When you locate that, then you can just switch breakers from one side of the panel to the other to compensate, to balance it out.
So it's just basically a math equation.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's all math. Everything
all
that
math.
there is in the universe is math.
Well, okay, I'm not that smart, but I mean, I just started to think about what you're saying. Well, then you put the breaker here and the breaker there. Well, then, yeah, they're all numbered, so there's got to be some kind of math equation that just balances it out.
Yeah, and some of them, like your dryer breaker, that goes on both legs, but you only use your dryer once in a while. Your freezer, you need to separate the freezer to put on a different circuit than the refrigerator. Balance things out.
Well, exactly, and it's such a foreign concept in the modern day to even think of the word balance. I think it's been hijacked, and we got robbed of it.
Well, yeah, we're not told about it. It doesn't explain to us, and the power company doesn't want us to know, because when you do that, they don't sell as much power.
Now, I noticed you used the word told instead of taught. Well, what's the difference between those two words to you, Larry? There seems to be, right?
Yeah. When you're taught something, that's something that you learn. When you're told something, that's something that you were instructed to believe.
Okay. And if it's a true belief that you're being told, then yeah, okay, I can see that.
Can I ask a question here?
This seems to be based on truth and logic and reason.
Isn't that a fun concept?
Hey, Larry and Flash, can I ask a question here?
Yeah.
I'd like to ask a question.
Please do. Hey,
right.
Grim, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you doing? Yeah, Grim in here. Anyway, you're talking about the power company picks the 15 minutes, and they charge you at that rate, the highest usage, right?
Yes. Yes.
But that's only true if you have a smart meter, right?
No.
Because there's no way they would know otherwise. They come out once a month, they read your meter, and last month it was this much, this month it's this much.
Back at the power company, there's a spike that shows up every time you go above your power consumption.
But they wouldn't know where that's coming from with the regular old dumb meters like I have.
Yeah, you're probably right. Yeah, it would take the smart meter to do that.
Okay, I just want to make sure of that. And the other thing I have to say, it's not a totally different topic that you were talking about before, about pH balance.
Yes.
That you should have. I do what I consider myself to be baking soda dosing. Every day I put a teaspoon of baking soda into a glass of water, stir it up real good, and drink that down. pH is always right on the numbers.
Absolutely. That's a wonderful way to do it. You can do it with apple cider vinegar, and that will also cure urinary tract infections and bladder infections. There's a lot of things. The pH of our body is what's important, and whatever method you find to create a more alkaline body, the better off you are. Any method works.
Yeah, I'm a big proponent.
Yeah, the baking soda is excellent.
All right, that's all I had to say. Continue on.
There have been people that have actually cured their cancer with the baking soda.
Yeah, sure. Cancer can't live in that environment.
That's it.
Damn. See? And it's all math, too.
Yeah. And not only that, the frequencies that they're inducing into us are making that cancer want to grow more.
Exactly right. See, the conspiracy shit that people are sucked into isn't even close to the truth, but at least it'll point them in the right direction.
Well, let's talk a little bit more about frequency.
Go right ahead.
I happen to be good friends, and my parents were good friends with the owner of the company that installed all of the HARP installations around the world, and there's 123 of them that I know of, and that is one type of 5 different frequency generating systems that they've got around the world, with multiple installations for each one of them. So if we could get them to stop doing that, then we might be okay. But there's just too many installations around. Everybody's got one, and everybody's trying to harm their neighbor with it so that they get all the rain and their neighbor doesn't, or so that they flood out their neighbor or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the evil that's controlling the world that we've got to deal with. And if we can provide products that don't propagate that evil, then we'll be okay. And once we get our generators out and everything operates at 54 cycles, most of that bad stuff will go away. We'll still have the odd harmonics that are produced, but those are easily filtered out with a capacitor. So that problem is solved.
I've got a question for you then. They always say, oh, well, competition sets the market. And then you look at the market, and the market is always a monopoly.
Yeah.
Who are they talking to when they talk?
I don't know, but monopolies used to be against the law when I was younger.
Right, and now if you try to break into a business, they hit you with regulation. Mm-hmm. They said they were bragging about 80,000 new pages of regulation in the last year. I mean, what? You can't do anything, blah, 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 blah. So,
and people wonder why manufacturing has left the United States.
Well, because they allow these politicians to do this crap to them. And when you try to tell them that, they don't understand what you're saying, and it turns into a disagreement about something else.
In my early career, I worked for a fluorescent fixture manufacturer, and they would buy their steel from China because it was cheaper to buy it over there, ship it over here, pay the duty, pay the shipping from the coast, than it was to buy it right here locally at Sheffield Steel right here in Kansas City, Missouri, where that factory was.
Right, they've done away with most of that.
Yeah, now we don't even have Sheffield Steel anymore. It closed down.
Well, what kind of future do you see?
A bright future. Man is going to pass up the inferior government leadership that we've got. We're going to go to self-governing. We're going to go back to the golden rule.
Yeah, without physically traveling anywhere, going any distance, then who cares what rules you live under?
That's right.
It's all in your mind anyway, this whole thing.
If you don't hurt somebody else, then do it.
Right, but the stuff that they do, they lie about it. They tell you it's for your own good while they poison you.
Well, I'm all for taking the safety labels off. Then the crazy people, the stupid people, will eliminate themselves. When I was a kid, I played with toy cars that were pressed metal and sharp edges and had rubber tires that would come off and axles that I could poke myself with. And if I fell down on that sucker and cut myself, it was my fault.
Yeah.
It wasn't the fault of the manufacturer. It was my fault.
Yeah, that's right.
Be more careful.
Yeah.
ADHD is not a real thing. That's parents that are too lax in their bringing up of their children to say, hey, shut up and pay attention.
Yeah. Sometimes, yeah.
I don't see those as being real. But then I've never had it. So
well, yeah, our day came and went. So now we're in somebody else's day. And the people that are in charge of the major things like the electricity and the petroleum, well, they know they got us trapped. But what the masses don't know is they're being lied to.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, there you go. Okay. Well, all the time on the internet, you can read all this. Well, so-and-so exposes this and so exposes that. And at the end of whatever you're looking at, it doesn't amount to fucking anything that has something to do with me. It's about somebody else, but it nothing to do with me. Unless I allow it to take me take over that way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We're a product of our decisions.
Right, but
if you decide not to do something, then don't do it.
There's so few of us, and we all seem to be here on the RLM at the same time. But the bulk of people, Larry, they're not very. What's the right word? Because I think they've been lied to. So I don't call them stupid so much as misinformed and controlled.
Yeah, controlled.
You know, if you.
Go ahead.
Well, if I was like a ruffian kid, I didn't fit in too well. I always go against the grain after a certain age. I hit about 11 or so, and I was done. And everybody else was so, I don't know, dull.
Yeah. When I got anxious and rowdy as a child, my folks would say, "Go outside."
Yeah, go find something to do. Go build something. Go play.
Yeah.
Take your bike. Go for a ride. Yeah. I used to go swimming during the summers off from school, and it wasn't anything to ride 2 or 3 miles to a swimming pool in another city to go swimming when I was 10 years old.
Yeah.
And nowadays, people, well, here they do it, but where I lived in the last 2 countries I lived in, the adults are so paranoid something's going to happen to their kids, they don't allow them to do anything anymore.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Riding a bike, crash helmet, little helmets on. You know, you fall off a bike at that speed, you're going to learn how to balance the bike.
Absolutely.
That's why you fall, is so you learn how to get up after you fall over.
Yep. I never had a helmet and never had pads.
Yeah, and you've got all these people growing up with this fantasy that if you protect yourself, blah, blah, you know, bullshit. If you just do, you could get hit by an airplane. How do you know?
Yep.
You don't know what's going to happen. So, but they've got us all convinced if you wear a seatbelt and this, and if you buy this particular kind of car, it's safer to drive. If you suffer an impact, collision, blah blah blah.
That seatbelt thing brought up a question.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
If it's a law that you've got to wear your seatbelt when you're in a car, why don't children on school buses have seatbelts?
I don't know. I've heard that question many times. I don't know. And they're all armed. They have pencils.
Yeah, you bet.
You know what I could do with a pencil?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That's a deadly weapon. I've got...
Exactly, yes.
I've got holes in me from pencils from when I was a kid.
Ta-da.
I still see the graphite in them.
Have they taken those out of the school system yet because they're dangerous? No, I've read stories about kids getting sent home because they ate a cookie in the shape of a gun.
Oh, that's ridiculous, yes.
They have, the controllers, they have a zero tolerance. This is their new mantra in America now. Zero tolerance. Well, what the fuck kind of freedom is that?
We shot 22s in the basement of my high school.
Ta-da! See? And, my stand on guns is I don't want to be around any guns. I don't trust myself around guns.
That's fine. Don't have one.
Exactly, right? But other people seem to think, well, if you don't want to have one, then I shouldn't have one. I don't know. I just don't think much of it. Have a gun. What are you going to do? Fly over here to Denmark and get on a train and come to my house? I don't care. Well, have a cup of coffee.
I've owned my own personal gun. I got a 22 for my 8th birthday.
Yeah.
I've been shooting weapons since I was 8 years old, and other than Vietnam, I haven't killed anybody yet.
Yet? See? And then you had the luxury of going into the military. You got nailed from every side. Education. Oh, yeah. Did you get hit with religion, too?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I was I was brought up in the RLDS Church, Reorganized Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
So you took the lessons and left the book behind you, right?
Absolutely. Now, wait a minute.
Yeah.
The Bible is a phenomenal book, but Boys and Girls is not the only book. Okay?
I just don't think it's what it's claimed to be. It is a book. It's a collection of books.
Yeah, but look at it. If you go to Numbers in the Bible, where it tells about Moses numbering his flocks and his people and his armies and all of that, and where he set those specific groups out to camp at night, those cover the 4 cardinal points. If you'll run all of those numbers, they all are frequencies, and the way that he put his people camping at night were the patterns of frequencies in the generators.
See, so, there's more to this than we know. Yeah,
absolutely. The information is there. The ancient writings. Yeah, the ancient writings, the Kabbalah, the Songs of Solomon, the Greater and Lesser Book of Solomon. Those are all beautiful, beautiful books, but they tell you how to do things. In magic is a science that we don't understand yet. In magic, you have to use the proper incantation in the proper language with the proper forms of medicine, of metals around you in order to transmit those frequencies into whatever you're doing.
Right. So and I don't have a working daily knowledge of all this stuff, right? So I'm kind of outside of it. You know, I understand what you're talking about from common sense, but I can't say I can sit here and define it the way you do. You know, I can connect the dots, but I'm just not as technical about it as you are.
Yeah, well, I've got an electrical background. I'm an engineer, but I see everything as a machine. I see trees as living machines. I see people as machines. I see the Egyptian writing, some of it as machines. The Hindu yantras, those are machines. The temples, the Mayan temple complex with all of the electrically conducting tunnels that connect it all is a gigantic printed circuit board.
Hey, you just gave me an idea. I would venture to guess there's a guy out there, or a group of guys, say you need a technical draftsman, right?
Yes.
But with mechanical design, or how do you explain that? What do you call it?
Okay, we need a winding machine. This winding machine is going to have to pass the entire spool of wire through the vortex, through the hole in every one of our toroidal shapes in order to wind it. And it's got to receive that on the other side so that it can move back around and pass it through again. At the same time, the toroidal shape, the donut, has to rotate and tilt. So in order to get this candy cane, if you will, pattern onto a donut, it also, because it's such a loose pattern, has to be glued down every inch of the way. And yes, we use hot glue to do it because our coils do not heat up.
Amazing. But, and you break the laws? I read it on the page the other day.
We break both the laws of thermodynamics and energy conservation.
Wow. Because that's what one of the guys said in the room. What you're talking about breaks the rules to that for it to be possible. But the way that you speak of it, it makes sense to the people that know what you're talking about from experience. So, wow. Yeah.
We just learned how.
Right, but I know how that heat, it's waste. That's why it's hot.
Absolutely.
Exactly. Wow.
Your stove operates, your electric stove operates on the same principle. It's a direct short through a great big wire that won't melt. That's all it is.
Okay. Simple. Simple works.
When you create eddy currents, that's what you're doing. You're making a hot spot. And that's done because the geometry, the way your pattern is not correct.
Holy shit. So, in your experimenting and whatnot, when you get around to putting up some video links that people can see, or are there presently video links that you recommend to people to understand what you're talking about in a easier way?
We don't have any videos out other than one test video, and that is a little bit too complex for normal people to understand, and it doesn't show anything physically other than a bunch of motors that were operating at the same time.
Right.
We put 6 servo motors onto our coil. They're little 3-volt and 6-volt motors. We powered them at 3 volts, but the 6-volt motors ran at full efficiency, just like the 3-volt motors. We did not get any voltage drop whatsoever when we added this load to the coil. What it did was increase the magnetic field to reduce the resistance of the copper. And that means that these coils ask for more load up to their maximum potential. Did that make any sense to anybody?
Well, yes, it makes sense. It's just that the lack of hands-on experience leaves me a little dull. Does that... I'm not saying I don't know anything about it. I just don't feel I know enough about it in detail to exactly, envision it. But I get the point, yeah. Well, no, you make it simple enough for me to understand the points from here to here. But the finer details, I think, for me to get it, I would have to have hands-on experience somehow. I'm kind of funny like that.
You come right on by and you can wind a coil.
Wow. Well, see, I'm in Denmark. I'd promised to go there, but nah, I like it here.
Okay.
We got to bring the coil to me.
I'm working with some people in Denmark on a hydrogen project. We might.
What city?
Over there. In Copenhagen, as a matter of fact.
I'm 2 hours on the train from Copenhagen.
Well, you can just get in your private jet and come visit.
No. I don't know. Me? Are you kidding me? No. I don't have any of that. I wouldn't want any of that.
Aren't you a rich radio personality?
No.
Am I on the wrong station?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, well.
Absolutely. You're on the station where the electricians hang out after work, or when they're...
that's my favorite place.
People that, have experience in your area. There's a couple of... Well, Ivy Don left, is probably working, but he jumped in and he cut your mention of John dying, and then he left for a bit. But Rob Works is still here, and he knows about electrical. Frumpy's been commenting back and forth. So, you make enough sense to all of us to have you tell us the stories.
Do we have any questions from anybody that I might help out with?
There you go. Yeah, something specific, right? Because generally speaking, it's a nice dream, I'll tell you that. But to lie to people through the media and the politics and all this shit for so long about how the world doesn't have enough resources to support people, and it's such a load of shit. Do you know anything about aquaponics, Larry? I'm just.
Oh, yes.
There you go. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
If you have an opinion on that, I'd like to hear your side of aquaponics, because I think it cures any kind of food problems we'd ever have.
All right. The Japanese began experimenting with music, playing to the fish in the fish farms in the ocean. They found that certain kinds of music made the fish want to eat more. They refined that and refined it and refined it, and finally came down to the musical note E. E makes fish eat. Okay?
Wow.
So you've got your fish that want to eat more, which means that they're going to poop more, which means there's going to be more fertilizer in the water. That's going to be better for the plants. Yeah, aquaponics is an excellent, excellent system. And with the proper frequency, which we're also working on, and we've got 2 or 3 inventions that are simple that anybody can make, a conical coil, a coil shaped like a funnel.
Because you're talking about the ones run on electric pumps, right?
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
There's also a gravity feed design with, I don't know, 6-inch PVC piping.
Okay. Any aquaponics system will need to have lighting. You run that light off of our 54 cycle generators that will put the proper frequency in the building for your plants to be stimulated.
Yeah, because that water's got to be recycled through the whole system.
That's right.
Like
and
a circle.
And right? the water holds the frequency.
Okay, how does that happen?
How does the water hold the frequency? That's just one of the characteristics of water. When you
so that's just nature doing what nature does.
Absolutely.
Oh, okay. All right.
Absolutely. Dirty water will transmit both frequency and electricity. Pure water won't conduct.
So the balance of the components gets you the result you're looking for in this equation?
Absolutely. When you provide the proper frequencies in harmony with nature, everything grows better. And these conical coils that I was talking about, you put the pointy end down about 6 or 8 inches into the ground, leave the spiral part sticking out, and on the top end of your spiral, leave part of the wire sticking straight up.
Hey, Cowboy Tech.
You can balance that with 2 sticks to keep it in the upright position. But that'll stimulate your plant growth. You can do that at your house, in your house plants, or out in your garden. The only drawback to that is if you do it next to your tomatoes and have a wire, an iron or steel wire cage on your tomatoes, do not let your coil touch that basket around your tomatoes because it'll burn them. I killed a whole tomato plant like that by putting my coil. I attached the top end of it to the wire rack of the tomato stand, and that tomato burned all the way up, turned brown in 2 or 3 days.
Wow.
So you need to place these in the ground, but don't put them with anything else that's metal that your tomato plant's going to touch.
Amazing. Yeah, all these combinations, to me, in the end, just come down to some kind of math equation.
Yeah, it's all math.
Okay, so I've grown up in my life, and I was told the scientists know this, and the teachers know that, and the politicians do this, and everything that I've ever really inquired into, it turned out that maybe 10% of what they said was true, and 90% of it was just nonsense.
That's right.
In every area of my life. I'm not just talking about one. I'm talking about all of it. Politics, education, religion. Some of it was true, but not enough of it to make me want to do the lifestyle that they seem to want out of me.
Yeah, and like Cowboy Tech mentioned, that the place with the lights on or the running generator noise will stand out. Yeah, but our generator doesn't make noise.
A silent generator on top. Well, it's run on magnet power. Yeah.
It doesn't even hum.
I don't see how it could. Where would this? There's no friction involved.
No, there's no friction, and the 54 cycle power coming out of it. You get the 54 cycle hum, which is less than audible. Well,
hey, let me ask Grim. Grim, if you can hear me, we started late, so if you could just let us know at the end when it's been 2 hours, and we'll just run a 2-hour show.
Okay.
Because I lost track of the time. Thank you. Appreciate it. And then, I don't know, people know. It's just amazing that they know. And there's so little we can actually do about it most of the time, except talk about it.
Yeah, we're preaching to the choir, but if everybody else will tell one of their friends, then maybe we can get the message out some way. But that would be optimal. So and I was introduced to a few other people that have radio stuff going on through when I was working with Vince. So I think what I'm going to do is try to introduce you to some more people through that. You interested? Sure.
And we'll just, if they want to hear what you're talking about, we'll just send them this particular link.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Then they can hear what, because your information covers a lot. There's a lot to this, and we get 2 hours and try to get as much out of you as we can, like squeezing a potato. You're going to eventually run out of potato.
Well, I'm just one tiny little spot on the great big ball of knowledge, and everybody knows stuff that I don't.
Exactly.
And I want to learn what they know.
Exactly. Make the game last as long as you can, and be comfortable through it.
Yeah.
Hey, man, one thing I learned, I'm not getting any younger. But I don't think it matters. It's all in my head anyway.
I've lost my life 3 times now and come back, so I think I'm immortal.
Probably both.
Probably both, yes.
So I guess we got a little bit of time. Let's see. Did you take your Hillary logo off the roof yet?
No, I put it up there just so that they won't bomb my house.
Yeah, no kidding, huh?
We've got one coil that when you turn it on, it's a big coil. It's 28 inches on the outside. When we turn that on, it puts out a monopolar magnetic beam that literally obliterates electronic equipment. But you can read that at 5 miles at 3 volts. We were initially going to use it as a carrier wave for communication, but it destroys communication equipment when you put it in the beam, so we can't do that. But
what
I'm getting at is that draws the black helicopters, and they stop so low over my house that my windows shake.
You're dangerous. Be careful, Larry.
We have fun. We're creating all kinds of weapons with what we do, but they're only going to be for us as protection. We've got a rail gun that's got a 4-foot coil on it with 3 of our toroidal coils around that. When you fire that in series, it sends a 6-inch iron gutter spike through a 2x4 at 90 feet.
Wow, I'll pass.
It's fun.
I like the peacenik life.
Yeah, but this is just something that we play with in the backyard so that I can keep my younger partners involved and excited about it.
Oh, yeah. So are they just doing simulations on computer screens, or are they really on the hand-to-hand, let's go kill people thing?
Oh, well, I'm an Aikido instructor, and our youngest member he's one of my students.
Okay, wait a minute. You're a what?
Aikido instructor.
What's that?
It's a form of martial arts.
Oh, so you run around kicking the shit out of people when they're not listening.
Well,
whoa. Okay.
Not anymore.
How long did you do it for?
I'm still doing it.
How long?
I've been doing it since I was 16.
Whoa, okay.
And I'm 67 now.
Yeah.
And the 20-year-old that's my student, I can catch his hand still.
Well, I'm not taking you on.
My wee fit thinks that I've got the body of a 20-year-old.
Well, I'm 18 years older than my wife, and she says I only look 17 years older than her.
I listened to a song last night that describes me, and I don't look good naked anymore.
Rob Work says Larry Woods equals a coil guy. You're a coil guy.
Yep, I'm a coil guy.
Well, at least you're keeping the flock together so they can graze in the same, on the same strain today. They're not on 10 or 12 different topics. They're focused. They're staying in line.
Well, it's good to see that people are interested in this kind of thing and at least open to it. There's a lot of charlatans out there. I can't say strong enough. Test everything yourself. Don't believe me.
Yeah.
Don't believe me. Please.
Prove it wrong.
Yeah.
And see, there you go. That's how you know somebody's not conning you. They go, show me where I'm wrong. There you go.
Yeah, if you think I'm full of soup and can explain it to me why I am, I'll change my mind.
They're talking about the election on the main feed right now, but they're hearing you, Larry.
Oh yeah, they are.
I know they are, and I don't think you have doubters as much as you've brought people to new questions that they hadn't brought around for a while. They were there, but they were kind of like off to a corner.
Yep.
In the modern world, you can't. Okay, I'll give you an example. I was in Scotland, and a friend of mine was an electrician, an older gentleman, my age bracket, in the 50s. And we were talking to this younger kid. He was in his 20s, and he's an electrician. And the two of them, the younger kid didn't know what the older guy was talking about because they didn't teach him.
Yep.
We were beside ourselves because this kid wanted to argue and disagree with the truth that the older guy knew. But because he hadn't been taught that's not what it was. And that's what we're up against.
When I got out of college, and all through my working life, I knew that I knew everything that there was about electricity. And I presented myself as that. Once I retired and my partner, Evan, taught me all the different maths and the reality of the real world, I realized that I didn't know 1/10 of what there was.
Nope.
So we just got to, everything is a matter of your personal perspective. One guy looking at the tail end of an elephant and one guy looking at his legs are going to have two different critters in their mind.
Yeah.
So, it's all a matter of perspective. When we can look at things from all the different viewpoints, then we can figure out the truth.
The truth. Maybe we're just calling it the wrong thing.
Yeah. What you should know as opposed to what you're told.
Well, that's kind of wordy. I wonder if we could just knock it down to one word. Like they got us on the truth, like that means something, like it's got a standard attached to it. When it's a hollow word that's just to sell you shit you don't need.
Yep.
It's a divide and conquer word. Without, there should be a better way to use that idea than that.
And I'm an old man. I was brought up on use it up, squeeze it out, fix it, or do it out.
Yeah, and that's right.
Okay, and today our society is buy it. When you don't like it no more, throw it away. There's just no way that we can be a throwaway society anymore.
Right. Well, how long can they drag this out for then?
Forever.
They've been doing good. Well, then, okay. I can't be comfortable, let's say that, in it. So I participate as little as possible now. Yeah, it's just pointless.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it just seems to me that the people that understand whatever I understand, even that we just know it.
Yeah.
We get along in a certain level of conversation in public it's universal.
Well, there you go to the monkey thing again. One group of monkeys was given sweet potatoes in the sand, and they learned to wash them off in the water because they didn't want to get sand in their mouth. And that went to another island. Mm-hmm. A whole other batch of monkeys started picking that up. There is a group consciousness that, whether we realize it or not, we are gathering information from other people that have the same information or the same type of information. It's a universal consciousness that some of us are becoming aware of. And even if you're not aware of it, you're benefiting from it. What you know basically is stuff that other people know that's just been transferred to you.
And again, with the wavelengths, is maybe there's certain balances that shift with what you're talking about.
Absolutely, and our magnetic field is being affected greatly these days by something in outer space.
Okay, and what would that be?
I'm going to lose a lot of people when I say this, but there's a planet coming this way that I've been watching since '09. I don't know if it's Nibiru. I don't know if it's a sun. With a solar system. I don't really know what it is, but since '09, I've been watching a blanked out spot on Google Sky that has approached. It came out of Leo, went through the crotch of Virgo, and is coming up to us from Australia, from the southern part of our Earth. And I've already noticed it. I've got big windows, big panels of windows.
I have a question.
Okay.
If it went through the crotch of Virgo, is Virgo no longer a virgin?
Absolutely. Nailed her right there on the way by and didn't even kiss her.
You didn't lose anybody. You got another jokester.
But it's been blacked out and it's moving up. And I sit and watch the sun go down and watch its progression up and down the back windows of my house. And normally, when I was a kid, I'm living in my parents' old house now that they're gone, but the sun would come right straight down those panels in a straight line. Now it's coming down the center panel and ending up in the panel on the right. It's coming down at an angle, and you can literally see it. There are people taking pictures of the moon where the moon rises between two mountain peaks, and it has moved over an entire mountain peak as it comes down. It comes down straight for a while, and then at the last right before it goes over the horizon, it moves off to the right because our planet is being tilted by another magnetic field.
Ah, okay.
Our North Pole used to move 42 feet a year. Now it's moving 42 feet a day.
Wow.
We're getting ready for a pole shift, and it's because of this outer magnetic influence on our solar system from our sister sun.
But getting ready for it could be like 10,000 years, or are you talking next week? During the Trump administration.
During the Trump administration.
Okay. I don't know.
This has been coming to us since '09, and it's made a great deal of progress. It's due to slingshot around the sun in the next few months.
Well, I don't know.
Yeah, that may or may not end life on the Earth as we know it. It will definitely disrupt our communication systems and all of our electronics, which means that you boys and girls are going to have to learn how to make a fire without matches.
I saw the video.
Yep.
I wear eyeglasses too, so I never have trouble.
You betcha. and you're going to have to learn what plants that you can eat and what animals you can eat.
Well, not so much where I'm at. If it gets that bad, I mean, it's pointless.
Yeah, I think within the first 2 weeks it'll go to cannibalism.
Here in Denmark? Wow, I hope not.
Here in the United States, anyway.
Really?
We're such a welfare country. If these people couldn't go to the grocery store, they wouldn't know what to do.
Uh-oh. Well, that doesn't sound very nice.
The farmer people in this country are good. Some of the other people, there are some of us, the hunters and fishermen, they pretty much know how to survive.
Yeah.
The city folk,
yeah,
they'll be eating one another in 2 weeks. When their food runs out, they're going to be killing and stealing and doing all the bad things that man does to man.
Wow. Well, it's kind of nice to be optimistic, but I don't know. I'm hoping that they just go, we were kidding, and let's try doing it right this time. But you're probably right.
I hope I'm not. I'd like to see
shit. Come on. What are the odds? I mean, we can't even get a decent apology out of these people. Did you ever see the Clinton apology for experimenting on American citizens without their consent or knowledge?
No.
I have. It's pretty bad, and it's ambiguous and it's boring. It doesn't even sound like he means it. He's just reading something. But the point was, they did it. Oh, and it was unethical, but well, it's over now, so just take it. Formal apology for that.
No, we didn't get caught then, so it's okay now.
Yeah, basically, they just keep doing different versions of the same stuff. But if all of their knowledge is based off what you're talking about, this is the way I'm taking this, right? The people that run shit now are using the same information you have,
and more advanced.
But they're using a wasteful version of what you use or what you want to provide.
Exactly.
Right? So
we think that we can do the CERN cyclotron, the atom smasher, at about one city block, rather than 16 miles.
16 miles. Aye. There you go. Think 16 miles.
That's a big magnetic field. That if you look at some of the pictures, they actually have vortexes in the clouds when they got that thing turned on.
Okay, and what does that mean in simple talk?
They are damaging the weather and the ozone at that point.
Because
the magnetic field is going up and poking a hole in the ozone.
Oh, okay.
That is a giant toroidal coil. That's all it is, a giant toroidal coil that produces such a high magnetic field that they can shoot one proton through it. So it's really powerful. What that does is out of the vortex, the hole in the middle, a strong magnetic field is projected up and down, and that pokes a hole in the ozone and puts that bad 440 frequency into the earth, and I'll bet you that plants don't grow good around that place.
Oh, okay. That makes good sense. I can't repeat that the way you said it, but I got it. And whatever it is that they're always trying, we've just discovered this and we've just discovered that, always turns out to be, the truth of that is, well, we decided to tell the truth about it now, but we're not going to tell you that part.
Yeah, and we already knew that 50 years ago.
Yeah.
We're just now telling you about it.
Yeah, you guys missed the meeting that day. Well, how long can they get away with this shit for? I mean, forever? I guess forever.
Well, it depends on how many of us wake up. If enough people wake up and just say, I ain't taking it no more, and I'm not going to fall for your lies, and I'm not going to take your medicine, and I'm not going to support your medical doctors, then...
Well, they're afraid of prison or something. So I'm thinking... there
are penalties.
We started 20 minutes late. My wife was asking me, what the hell am I still on the radio for? So I had to tell her.
Get Larry to shut up.
No, because I wanted to do a full 2 hours, but we started late because we had that little crash. The stock market crashed.
Yeah.
Or the internet or some damn thing crashed. I don't know. Wasn't me for a change. But it's always when I want to do something, somebody involved is just a little too drunk that night. It's the way it rolls. Okay, but we still got some time because Grim said he'll come on and let us know and when we got the show filled. But what road do you want to go down now, Larry?
Okay. The body operates at certain frequencies.
Yeah, I like that one. Okay.
Yeah, and we've got to put the proper food, the proper fuel into our motor. And that's where all the edible plants come in. Most of the wild plants that are edible that we think are weeds are healing plants. Go to Google and look up your area of the world and find out what you can eat. Look up the healing plants in your area. Willow bark is not only an antiseptic, it is also a painkiller. Willow bark helps arthritis. Cilantro takes out the heavy metals. Turmeric, however you want to say it, takes out the heavy metals. Cumin takes out heavy metals. There's a lot of different spices that will help us take out the heavy metals. Cinnamon is one of the best things you can use. If you've got lung problems, ginger tea will help you. Ginger root tea. And you can grind your own ginger root to put in your tea, and that's delicious. Chamomile is a kind of tea that will calm you down. Valerian root is what people used to take before Valium was made. You take enough valerian root, it'll put you to sleep.
Yep.
So,
so I've heard.
Yeah, right. But there's all kinds of stuff that are natural that if you get too much of it in your body, all that will happen is that it will come out in your waste. You'll either pee it out or shit it out, and that's it. It won't harm you.
No side effects that
side
cause
effects.
Problems. And let me mention this. Do you know that in the medical talk, side effects are everything that happens to you on that drug?
Wow.
It's not a narrow street. It's a broad statement. All of the shit that happens. So what might happen to 9 people might not happen to the other 91. 81.
Yeah,
I almost lost 10 there in the exchange. Must be this Danish money.
That's it.
But you know what I mean? We're all physically similar, but when you break us down in the smaller components you get into, that's where the differences start showing. Your liver is this, and your heart is like that, and all that stuff, that medical jargon. Mm-hmm. Well, they throw enough true at us to sell the bullshit.
Yep. It will help this, but it'll cause all these other problems.
Right. Side effects.
So that we can give you another pill to cancel those problems and cause more problems.
So what side effects means is don't do this.
Yeah. I've got 7 compression fractures in my back because the VA told me that I could take 120 milligrams of Seconal. No. I can't even remember the name of it. Anyway,
I guess it doesn't help Alzheimer's.
Yeah, right. It was methadone. They told me I could take 120 milligrams of methadone a day and it wouldn't hurt me.
Oh.
Well, that didn't even touch the pain, and that's synthetic heroin.
Yeah.
And so when I stopped, I stopped because my back started breaking, and then after that, they told me, oh yeah, by the way, narcotics will give you bone loss. So,
what a coincidence.
Yeah. But when I stopped taking all of the medication, I don't even take an aspirin now.
Right.
I'm more healthy than I've ever been. Pain levels are way up, but once you get used to it, and I know it's hard, but I hurt so bad that I throw up. And that happens probably 2 times a day. But I know that it's going to happen, and if I can calm down and relax enough, get into my meditative state, I can make it go away. So we've got the power to do this if we get off of the drugs. And the food that I eat a lot of sweet potatoes, a lot of cilantro, a lot of turmeric, a lot of cinnamon. All of that keeps my body cleaned out of all this junk that we're breathing in from the chemtrails. So it's really good for you.
Well, if you don't live in the big city, what are the chances of that chemtrail stuff hitting you in the boondocks?
100%.
Do the winds just carry that shit everywhere any fucking way? It doesn't matter where they fly it at?
Yeah, and that's not all that it does. All this aluminum has allowed their satellites to look through our houses and see us. They can tell you what color your eyes are inside your house.
Well, I've seen some pretty interesting camera shit done with this Google and whatnot. So I don't know. There's just some things I believe the end, but I don't know how you got to that result. The logic isn't all there.
Well, it's the radar stuff that they've got to penetrate.
Yes,
the radar.
Right. All the invisible science that I can't see, all hitting me at one time.
Yeah.
So there you go. Shut down. Boom. Don't want to hear it. Bad. Scared. Ooh.
And all the aluminum is making the atmosphere more conductive as well as us. That way their HAARP works better. Their weather modification works better.
So, well, like yourself, I believe that the vibration somehow controls whatever it does, and we're the result of it. So if you can physically control that somehow and manipulate it to get a result, and this is the result that we have, and that just happens to fit that particular result, I would say we're being reamed.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
The Royal Rife Chair, you can find the frequencies of the Rife Chair on the internet. That tells you every single frequency that there is that has to do with healing parts of the body.
Yeah.
2-minute warning.
So, well, hey, what's up, Grim?
2-minute warning.
Hey, okay. Well, I'll tell you what, Larry. You take the last 2 and take us out. And thanks for doing this. This is the last time I'm going to get you on here. I'll give you a couple of months off, but I wanted to try to do one that was instructional, so to speak. You know, where you give people a message.
Okay.
There you go.
If you've got children in school, complain about the Wi-Fi. Ask them if they're going to accept responsibility for your child's sterility. If you have any way to homeschool your kids. The subjects that you do not understand are readily available on the internet. Okay? If you can possibly do it, bring your kids home. Get out from under the Wi-Fi. Take your kids out. Go out into nature, out in the woods. Go out barefoot in the yard for at least 20 minutes every day to retune your body to nature. We need to start reconsidering our roots, like the trees, our roots to Mother Earth. That means we need to contact Earth. Get off the concrete, get off the asphalt, get into some real dirt. Don't worry about your kids playing in the mud. That's good for them. Let them pick up the germs. Let them get measles. Let them get mumps. Let them get chicken pox, because that's the only way that our bodies can continue to maintain and produce the antibodies necessary to combat these things. One of these days, when everybody's got their measles shots and nobody gets measles anymore, there's going to be a measles outbreak that's going to kill half the world population.
Okay, that's time.
Okay.
All right. Thanks a lot, Grimner. And Larry Woods, we'll try this in a couple of months and see if anything changes.
Sounds great. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for playing, everybody.